The Soviet Union itself is no more.
The United States military has begun strikes.
Считаю, что для современного мира однополярная модель не только неприемлема, но и вообще невозможна.
Народные республики Донбасса обратились к России с просьбой о помощи. Мною принято решение о проведении специальной военной операции.
Is taking chips from dishwashers and refrigerators to fix their military hardware. Russia's industry is in tatters.
Putin is now isolated from the world more than he has ever been.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the DD Geopolitics live show. I am your host, Sarah. First and foremost, thank you all for being here. Please, while you're here, hit the like, share, and subscribe buttons all at once if you can. If you guys hear any background noise, my apologies. They're doing some ridiculous road work outside of my condo, but we will get through it. And as you can see, I am sans Chris for right now, but he will be hopping on as soon as he gets to his studio, aka his apartment. So let's get started. Obviously, you guys know I am joined by a special guest, but first I want to tell you, I was listening to a conversation about the Iran talks the other day. I know, jibber jabbering. And one of the speakers said he thought it was a distraction from something, and that we wasn't sure what. So I started kind of looking around at the other regions holistically. And if you haven't noticed from our coverage over time, and of course, Chris and I's very soft spot in our hearts for Latin America. And there's a lot of crazy stuff going on down there. And by crazy, I mean weird from Plan Andina in Argentina and Chile to the organization searching for crypto Jews in the Amazon jungles to the weird evangelicals running El Salvador to the Isaac Accords that want to take the whole region over. We've covered all of it, and things continue to spiral in the South. Today, we're going to dive deep into what we're calling Operation Condor 2.0, because what we're seeing is a coordinated U.S.-Israeli power grab across the hemisphere. We're going to talk about Hondurasgate, the biggest political scandal many people have never heard of, leaked recordings that expose Trump, Netanyahu, Milei, and a convicted drug lord planning coups, death squads, and corporate colonization. First, we called this months ago. Back in November, when Trump announced he was pardoning Juan Orlando Hernández, we were on it. Take a look. So yesterday, Trump announced that he will be pardoning prior Honduran president Juan Orlando Hernández, who was convicted in 2024 for trafficking over 400 tons of cocaine into the United States and running Honduras as a narco state. He was sentenced to 45 years, and Trump is set to pardon him. Okay, he ran a drug trafficking ring that ran from Colombia into Venezuela, into Honduras, and into the United States. Obviously, without the knowledge of Maduro. Ding ding ding. So he pardons this guy. What didn't Donald Trump just say that blowing up these boats was saving 25,000 to 50,000 people, whatever? So by his math, he just pardoned the guy that killed 5 million Americans. So that's Trump math. Trump also I think we touched on it. I don't know if I touched on it in a stream or it was in a space. Trump is also actively interfering with the Honduran election, which happens today or tomorrow. Today, actually.
Yep.
And you guys can read it. I am reading all that. I'm happy for you or whatever. But yeah, here he posts the same thing 2 days in a row or three, like twice. It is just crashing out completely. I ain't reading all that, but you guys can go. And he says that he's backing up the candidate that would be in the line with the guy he just pardoned. The guy he just pardoned had ties to El Chapo. Like this is like what. He had $1 million he received from El Chapo because he was taking bribes from the cartels and drug lords to obviously not prosecute them. $1 million from El Chapo. That is documented, and Trump is pardoning him. Welcome back, Larry. I am so happy to have you here today. I know you're probably inundated with questions about Iran, so I was hoping you'd be happy to talk about something different. Today, we're obviously joined by none other than Larry the Shirt Johnson, former CIA analyst who worked in Latin America forever and former State Department counterterrorism official and obvious Hawaiian shirt collector.
I was the Honduran analyst from.
I know. That's why I'm so happy that I got you for this.
But Orlando was just he was just a teenager back then. So he was born in 68. So when I was working there, he was at 17, 18, 19 years old. So his pre-drug days. Maybe he was a user.
Pre-drug days. Just before the drugs. Okay, so if you guys haven't heard, there's been a few outlets covering this. Obviously, most of everybody is covering Iran and then secondary, the Russian-Ukraine conflict, the SMO. But this started coming out in April. 37 audio recordings were leaked from WhatsApp, Signal, and Telegram messages between Hernández, the current Honduran president, which is Asfura, and other high-level figures. I'm not really sure what to even call it, so we're calling it Condor 2.0. And I would just want to let the listeners, viewers, see this is where you can listen to all of the recordings. This is Hondurasgate YouTube. All the recordings are there. You can dub them in English or you can sub them in English. And we're not going to be able to get through them all today, obviously, because there's 37 of them. But you guys can go there for your own and research further. So let's get to it. On the morning of April 30th, 2026, the investigative platform called Hondurasgate was operating in Switzerland in collaborations with Canal Red, which is a Spanish television outlet, and its written platform, Diario Red. They released the first in a series of 37 audio recordings. These were extracted from the social media platforms between some of the most powerful political figures in the Western Hemisphere. By the time the final files were released on May 6th, they exposed a transnational conspiracy of staggering scope, a coordinated effort allegedly financed by multiple governments. Have you heard of this, Larry?
I had not. No, I had not heard.
Oh, great. So we're going to be able to get a very candid, authentic reaction. Okay, so who's in these recordings really quick before we get to them is obviously the Honduran president Asfura, former president Hernández, Argentine president Milei, references to the U.S. and Israeli governments, Honduran vice president Maria Antoinette, funny name, Mejia.
Yeah. let them eat cake.
I said to my producer last night, I said, why do all these Latin American fascists have the craziest names? Like they'll be named like Adolf Hitler Guerrero, Maria Antoinette Mejia, and on. The list goes on.
Is she a Mejia?
Yes, she's a Mejia.
So she comes out of a political family. Oh, heavens.
Yes.
Yeah.
So in one of the most revealing audios dated January 30th, Hernández instructs Asfura from the United States, I need you to send about $150,000 to Rosales' account. We are going to set up an office to create a digital journalism unit. This will be managed by someone from the President of the United States team. They're going to set up a new site where important data about Manuel Zelaya and Xiomara Castro will be released. Let's start with I'm so excited you haven't heard this before. This is going to be so fun. All right, let's go. This is about the interference, foreign interference in Honduras.
Estuvieron haciendo una plática de los republicanos y sacaron un comunicado. Eso es de una reunión de Zoom. Yo estuve ahí de invitado porque Roger Stone me consiguió la reunión. Y es importante que en Israel hablar con los amigos para que nos apoyen en el tema de logística, de inteligencia y otros temas que son muy necesarios para mi regreso. Hay que abrir un poco los ojos, la situación global no está tan bien. El primer ministro de Israel nos va a dar el apoyo. Nosotros estamos muy agradecidos con él. Tuvieron mucho que ver ellos. Tuvieron todo que ver, de hecho, ellos con mi salida y negociación. Habíamos hablado. Yo había mandado un recado de que íbamos a ganar y que se me apoyara a mí en estos momentos. La presidencia tiene que regresar a las manos correctas y el presidente Donald Trump es lo que quiere él. Si se van a ir contra él, yo lo comunico inmediatamente y se le cae todo el gobierno.
Pretty wild. Welcome, Chris. You got here so fast. Thank you.
I know. I'm sorry. Good to see you, Larry.
Hey, good to see you. And I guess I'll be seeing you later this week, too.
You sure will. I'm looking forward to it.
You going to Moscow?
No. Unfortunately, it'll just be over Zoom. I'd prefer to go to Moscow.
Yeah, right. We're all trying to get out of here right
We're
now.
waiting for you.
Yeah, I tell you, what a classic Honduran accent that is.
Is it?
Oh, yeah.
He tried to deny it. All of these recordings were scrutinized. They were put through heavy forensics. They've all come back 80% positive that this is him.
No, that's not some AI generated voice, and it's not Israel's involvement with drug traffickers goes back quite a ways. Mm-hmm. There was, back in 22 years ago, out of Guatemala, they were smuggling weapons that went through Panama that wound up with the Autodefensas, the AUC, the Autodefensa Colombiano, which is this extremist right-wing group that was involved with drug trafficking. They supplanted one of I think the Cali cartel. So Israel's been involved with that. In fact, I know the little Jewish guy that was involved with transiting the weapons. He got banned, had his visa pulled, was then banned from coming to the United States. And I'd first met him when we were investigating cigarette smuggling and contraband, and he was the Philip Morris authorized distributor of all things. So this connection that goes throughout Central South America, it's family based, it's tied into international corporations, and the Israelis through Mossad have had a very big hand in Guatemala, Salvador, Honduras. And back when, in the bad old days when they were supporting the authoritarian governments and the ones who were engaged in killing a lot of the natives, particularly in Guatemala, killing the Indians. So, yeah, this doesn't surprise me. What's interesting is the connection with Milei. So that, again, I'm assuming, I didn't confirm it personally, that Milei, though, is Jewish. And yeah, so again, let's call it the Zionist connection, because what's fascinating is running throughout Central and South America, you also have a Lebanese diaspora.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got family networks that run, and they're centered in the commercial centers. So in the Colón Free Trade Zone, in Maicao, Colombia, it's the major smuggling port into Colombia that feeds what are called these black market areas within like Bogota and Medellin. Then it extends, again, these are family networks that extend down into the Ciudad del Este in Paraguay that's on the border with Brazil, and then the other major free trade zone, Iquique. So you've got side by side, most of these family networks are Sunni, not Shia, but they are some Shia. And so you got this sort of this, if you will, the Israeli Palestinian conflict carried out in the shadows down there.
Well, I was also interested in asking about this weird Roger Stone connection. I was browsing for this when I first heard the word Hondurasgate, and I pulled up this tweet and I said, what the hell is Roger Stone trying to free the Honduran president for? What the hell is going on here? So I started digging into that, but that's not even it. He wrote him a whole article based on his Substack about saving this Próspera project. A well-timed pardon of former President Hernández would be the final death blow to Castro with national elections set to take place later this year. Castro's regime could be upended and Honduras liberated without firing a single shot or deploying a single troop, etc. That entire article goes and sings the praises of Próspera, which we'll get into in a little bit more detail. But what do you know about Roger Stone and his connections to Latin America?
Well, I really nothing other than what I know indirectly through John Kiriakou. So remember when John Kiriakou was trying to get a pardon?
He still is. Yeah. Guys, go to our Substack and help us free John Kiriakou. We'll get into more detail about this later, but there you go.
and you recall the story of how Rudy Giuliani helped him out?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Rudy Giuliani just needed a couple of $1 million. So I guarantee, I wonder how Mr. Juan Orlando Hernández consiguió su pardon. How did he get his pardon? Mm-hmm. Any chance that $1 million or more might have changed hands? one has, because Trump, as it turns out, Trump is like, he is a quintessential Latin American president in terms of corruption. And the family corruption that we're now witnessing on just a massive scale. So yeah, Hernández, I'm sure he was able to buy his way out, and the payment, maybe the payment with the stone, who knows?
Yeah, but that's probably close to the truth of what happened, I would think.
Yeah, money talks, and even like there is a. One of the major families, big players in Panama, on the Arab Muslim side of the house is the Waqeds, Abdul Waqed, his son Nidal Waqed, and they were convicted in money laundering, cocaine trafficking, etc. But they got out of jail pretty quick. And Nidal was held in prison up here in the States. He got out after like 6 months, hardly spent any time. And it's just like, if you or I get busted on that, you're looking at some hard time and you don't get off. These other guys, as long as you got some money, you can usually buy your way out.
And just so our viewers know, this is Próspera. It is located on the island of Roatan, off of Honduras.
Oh.
Basically, it's going to be a ZEDE, which is a zone for employment and economic development, I believe, which it's semi-autonomous. So this is sponsored and funded by Thiel, Altman, and those guys. Marc Andreessen is also funding it. It's registered in Delaware, but it's operating on Honduran soil with its own legal system. They're calling it the Hong Kong of Honduras. And if either of you two want to go, you guys can go. You can go on a Próspera weekend.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding you.
Look, yeah, I've been to, that's Roatan. So, yeah, great diving. We were there, my wife and another nurse that traveled with us. We were there in 1978, July of 78, and thought we could just show up out there on the island and get find a room. No, it's difficult. We ended up this one hotel had mercy on us, and so they had like this guest house but there were no beds, no furniture, so we like slept on the floor and learned the hard way that if you go out and you snorkel all day and you're a gringo, you find out you get blistered with the sun.
You get burned.
Oh my God! So trying to sleep on a wood floor with ponchos, and then the worst part of it was to flush the toilet. We had to take a bucket with a string and go out and drop the bucket in the well, pull it up, come in, you'd pour the bucket in, and so in the middle of the night, some of us had what we call intestinal difficulties. Went out, dropped the bucket down the well, the string broke.
Oh no!
Oh,
So yeah, so Roatan is not what you'd call one of the great places for massive internet. Hong Kong. The word that comes to mind is you got to be shitting me.
Oh my God!
Okay, it was. I mean, and one last story about Roatan. We'd gotten out. We had made zero planning. So I was 23 at the time. So what did I know? Sort of zero planning. So we tried to figure out how are we going to get back to the mainland Honduras, and we went up to this. It's called Anthony's Key. It's a resort up there towards the left. If you look at that picture, the left side of Roatan, and there's another gringo. There's a guy and his wife and daughter, and he overheard us talking. He says, "Hey, I can give you a ride back." Well, it turns out he's a pilot. And so he says, "Hey, I'm going to fly over the Anthony Keys and wave my wings at my wife and daughter." He did that. And the engine started cutting out and he starts hitting the dashboard. And I thought I checked this fuel here. Found out. So this was 1978. 7 years later, when I'm at CIA, this guy was a CIA pilot. Who knew?
Who knew?
Okay.
Well, here's where it gets interesting. Oh, sorry. Are you still going?
No. So sorry to take you off on all these old man stories.
We love your stories. We clip them and share them. I shared the Mar-a-Lago story. I clip them. I love the stories. They're my favorite part of having you on. But here's where it gets interesting. The previous president, Xiomara Castro, interesting last name, but it draws ire from people. Here she is. She's really based. She fought this ZEDE tooth and nail. She tried to shut them down. She said they violated their sovereignty. In 2022, the Honduran National Congress voted unanimously to abolish the framework. And so Próspera came and sued the Honduras.
Yeah.
And for $10 billion, which is more than a third of Honduras's entire GDP.
Yeah.
So the first thing Nasri Asfora does after Trump interfered in the election, he takes office in January 2026. He rejoins the ICSID, which is what Castro withdrew from in 2024. And the door opens back up for Próspera's $10 billion lawsuit. Within weeks, Asfora is in Israel meeting with Netanyahu, then straight to Washington to meet with Rubio and Trump officials. And in the leaked audio recordings, Esfura confirms what they are building. This is a quote from his recording on 10 February 2026. We already had a private session with investment circles, and they are very positive about the expansion of the ZEED in Roatan and Comayagua. Regarding Palmarola, we're going to move another Palmarola project specifically to Roatan, where Próspera is located, a base. We've already negotiated that. We're also going to hand over the interoceanic corridor to General Electric. The Chinese were bidding, but we are not going to give in. Another United States military base in Honduras.
Yeah, so that's what Palmarola is, the base. That's where the U.S. Military's had a base there. Good God, 40 years, 41, 42 years. So it's located halfway between sort of Tegucigalpa in the south and San Pedro Sula in the north, and about another hour south of Lake Yohoa. So if you look at a map of Honduras, right in the middle is this big ass lake. Used to be tremendous bass fishing. It's been fished out, but south of that is Palmarola. So in my understanding that the ZEDES is basically a free trade zone. Is that what they're talking about building?
Yes.
And then they'll get a base to protect it.
Yeah. So this looks like some classic money laundering operation on some grand scale.
Yeah.
Because you already you have the Colón Free Trade Zone. So the Colón Free Trade Zone from Honduras is about 400 miles south, and it sits at the north end of the Panama Canal. If people don't realize, you think Panama Canal runs east to west. It runs north to south. And so the Colón Free Trade Zone was at one point the second largest free trade zone in the world. It was second only to Hong Kong. Now I think it's fallen off somewhat, but until 28 February, the second largest, I believe, was Jebel Ali in the United Arab Emirates. But in light of that war, they're not doing too much activity there anymore. So, but it begs the question: why a free trade zone there? I mean, it's not like it's at some crucial location. It's off the coast of Honduras. Honduras has always been a backwater. And you've got the Colón Free Trade Zone. You've got, and then you got the Mexican port Veracruz. Yeah, just because let's put any free trade zone there. Okay, the ships are going to have to come to unload products, and what products are you going to sell? Household electronics like rice cookers, coffee makers, irons. Are you going to sell maybe to Samsung televisions, whatever? Okay, that all comes from Asia. And to get there, they have to sail through the Panama Canal, which is why when ships come through the Panama Canal, right there at the north end of it, there's this entire city, Colón, which is it's nothing but just a mass of shops, retail, wholesale items, every product in the world you can imagine. So they're doing this off the coast of Honduras. It makes no sense. And the infrastructure, just the infrastructure there alone, like you got a lot of people that work in the Colón Free Trade Zone. Where the hell are they going to get all these people? Roatan's not a big ass island. It's a relatively small island. And then, are you going to, the people that come and staff the free trade zones, the different offices? So something smells about this.
Oh, wait. They're also building a center for the confinement of terrorism in Tegucigalpa, modeled on CCOT.
Tegucigalpa. Have you ever flown in there by chance? No. Okay. So the approach to the runway is down. You got a mountain slope like this, so the plane's flying down the slope of the mountain. Little kids will stand there and throw rocks at airplanes. They have hit airplanes with rocks from the ground. I kid you not.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So Tegucigalpa, a terrorism holding cell. Yeah, that's what we need.
All right, so that's just the beginning. We're at the tip of the iceberg. So we're gonna play the confession. This is like the meat and potatoes of this. This is Juan Hernandez's own confession to interference.
Bueno, me gusta oír el mensaje de unidad. Bueno, leer el mensaje de unidad. Yo estoy feliz con el simple hecho de que me hayan contestado. Ahora bien, mi respuesta formal es esta. Yo no voy a apoyar, pero ni un poquito, lo que han dicho sobre mí, ni lo que me han ofrecido. Yo voy a empezar fuertemente a acusar con nombre y apellido a los que están truncándome todo mi proceso de regreso a Honduras. También les conseguí el contacto de las petroleras, les conseguí el contacto de las empresas, les conseguí todo. Y a mí no me están resolviendo, pero ni una pista de toda la situación que yo pedí. El dinero del indulto, ni queda luz usted. Ni queda luz usted. Salió de una junta de rabinos y de una gente que apoyaba a Israel. Yo voy a ganar las elecciones.
So I think you were onto something when you said some money exchanged some hands for that pardon, but it came from the rabbis, apparently.
Hey, you know, a blessing on your house, mazel tov, mazel tov.
Very good reference. I love it, Larry.
Yeah.
I love it.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So we were dealing with heavy. And what do you know of any of Juan Hernandez's connections to Israel or Israel?
Well, all I recall is just that from early on, Honduras was seen sort of as a reliable UN vote for Israel.
Israel. Yeah.
Within the politics, you know, I never, and I'm thinking back to '86. So I was the Honduran last from '86 through '89. I don't recall it back then with seeing much Israeli influence. There, you know, Honduras at that point was it was like the land-based aircraft carrier for the CIA, because the CIA was running operations against the Sandinistas from bases in Honduras, in the southern part, as well as from Swan Island. And then you know, it was that was back when Honduras was one of the top four foreign policy priorities of the U.S. government. That time, President Reagan. So you know, they had tremendous access, a lot of money flowing through there.
So it looks like Trump sold a pardon to a foreign country, or at least some people that might have some foreign allegiance to another country.
Just think of it as a charitable donation.
Well, here, I want to tell you this next clip. This is going to probably make Chris angry or crash out. And also, Larry, it'll probably bring you back to some of those old times back in the first Operation Condor. Let's take a look.
Hay que hacer algo más importante, que es alinear a todas las iglesias para que nos apoyen. La iglesia es la que nos van a encargar de que la gente le olvide el pasado y que piensen que fue la izquierda que hizo eso. Si hay que matar a la gente para nosotros poder estar tranquilos, se va a hacer. Si hay que regresar a la represión para controlar el país, se va a hacer. Hay que hacer todo lo que tengamos en las manos posibles para no volver a soltar el poder. Y hay que acelerar que todo lo que va a pasar, muerte, asesinatos, secuestros, viene por parte de los comunistas. Honduras necesita fuerza, necesita logística, necesita sangre. Si vos querés tener a la gente controlada, necesita oprimirla, exprimirla, contrarrestar la violencia, generando violencia. Es que es lo que el presidente Trump diga. Y vos hacete cuenta y caso que él va a estar ahí toda una eternidad. ¿Cómo? No sé, pero vos hacete cuenta y caso de eso. Ya se me casó a mí. Y no dejas tan blandito, no te toques el corazón. No dejas tan blandito. Si no, no puedes hacer el trabajo. Ahí dijo Pablo Escobar.
Wow.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, Honduras, at least, 40 years ago, they never had the reputation for the kind of violent suppression that we saw in Salvador.
Yeah.
And in Guatemala.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, a guy I worked close when I went there in 78. I was 23, and I was sent to work with or replace this other fellow. His name was Edward Guy, and he was in his mid 50s. He was a veteran of the Korean War, social worker. Ed was incredible. He outwalked the Hondurans. He would never, he would always, he was one of these guys that really led by example. But anyway, he was once explaining the difference between Honduras, Salvador, and Guatemala to me. And he said, in Honduras, if you get killed, it's usually because somebody got drunk and they made a mistake. He says, in Salvador, if they kill you, they got a reason. Maybe not be a good reason, but they got a reason. And he said, but in Guatemala, he says, they'll kill you for just standing there with teeth in your mouth.
Yep.
So it was, culturally very different. So hearing a Honduran talk like this is quite jarring, because that is really against, it's not common to Honduran culture, or the fact that they're not going to a place where we're going to, and there was never, quote, influencia comunista. Back there wasn't a communist influence in Honduran back in the day. They flip flop between two parties, and with the army, controlling everything behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. So the fact that they're going to gin up a leftist threat to justify killing people in order to keep them in line, and supporting the status quo, that's revelatory about that sort of old style, the stereotype we used to have of Latin America. But that's something that, at least I never saw that when I was doing the Honduran analysis. That wasn't typical back then.
And that video clip, Larry, I think you would agree is, I think it's indicative of a deeper kind of, how would I say it, structure of how the CIA used to do things, this strategy of tension, this kind of pinning a blame on one group versus another. We saw it in Italy in the years of lead, right? We saw pinning the blame on communist groups like Red Brigade and things like that. And then it was actually fascist groups. And then it created tension. And then there was a big election and votes switched because people were under the assumption that the communists were out there running around when they weren't. So,
yeah, well, let's substitute communists for Islamists.
There you go.
So the same. I just became aware of the book. It was called Visas for Al Qaeda, and it was written by the guy who was usually, I guess he was consul general. He was a consular officer in Saudi Arabia, and he talked about how the CIA would interfere to allow jihadists to get visas, including 15 of the 19 hijackers that came to the United States. So it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Just sort of a different ideological persuasion or motivation that can be used to create a threat, when in fact the CIA behind the scenes is the one helping create the threat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
100%.
And they do have a target. Again, we're not going to go through all the recordings, but I highly encourage you guys to go. We'll put the link in the description. Their target here is this man named Marlon Ochoa. Marlon Ochoa is an electoral counselor, member of the Progressive Libre Party, and he exposed fraud in the Honduran elections. You guys can go through the recordings. Some of the titles, they tell you everything. Hernández is searching for Marlon with U.S. intelligence contacts. Hernández demands a trial for Marlon, no matter how much blood is spilled. Tomas to Hernández, we are looking for the crime to capture Marlon internationally. So they're hunting that guy.
Yeah.
Using the United States as well.
No, it's it's sort of looking back now, it's a little quaint. Before we used to be just concerned about what they called the promotions. So within each military group, back then it was the fifth. You went from the fourth promotion, a group of colonels, then to the next batch of colonels, sort of the next generation. They were called the fifth promotion, and so they kept, they kept replacing each other. God knows now they got to be up to like the 38th promotion within the Honduran military by now. But yeah, this, at the root of it all is this enormous amount of money. Drug trafficking generates an enormous amount of money, and it does so with the collaboration, participation, support of U.S. financial institutions and U.S. corporations, U.S. companies.
Yep.
One of the advantages, if you will, for the free trade zone is what's called trade-based money laundering. So, if you're like narcotics traffickers, they get all their dollars up here in the United States. Okay, they can't just walk those dollars down to a bank and deposit them. They're making $25,000, $50,000, $100,000 deposits. That captures attention. So, and the cartels came up with a variety of methods to, launder the money. They would have different bank accounts opened by individuals from Colombia. They were actually got a vacation paid to come to Orlando to go to Disney World. But while they were there, and this was back in the 90s, they had to open 5 bank accounts, husband and wife each. So at the end, they'd go back with 10 bank accounts, and you get starter checks with each of those accounts, and they'd turn them over to the money broker. And then what would happen is every day, this took place in Orlando, here in Tampa, Sarasota, Fort Lauderdale, Miami, the pitufos, the Smurfs. These are people they work for the cartels. They get up every morning, go to a stash house. They take bags of cash and they go around. They make deposits to each of these bank accounts. And they do it through like a night deposit, but they only do like $2,000, $4,000. They keep it below the $5,000 threshold. And so that would build up the money. But one of the other ways that the cartels repatriated is they would buy products. They'd actually be able to pay a premium. So let's say normally like a case of Marlboro cigarettes would cost $300. Well, the cartels would pay $340 for it. Philip Morris was more than happy to make an extra $40 per case, particularly when you're selling 1,000 cases, 5,000 cases. Just do the math. The numbers add up quickly, and so that trade-based material gets transferred to wherever, Colombia, wherever, and then it's sold. And so the proceeds from that sale, that's how you transfer the money. That's one way to transfer the money. So the idea of setting up a free trade zone in Honduras makes sense from the standpoint you're going to use it as a money laundering center.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
You mentioned the military. So we do have the military has stepped up, and he's in the recordings as well. We won't play any, but the General Romeo Vasquez Velasquez, I've got at least one group already lined up within the army. They're ready. Everything is aligned to start the hunt. I also have a list of people who need to be dealt with, given the works, scrubbed out, made to disappear one way or another.
Yeah.
So I guess they're getting ready for a death squad. So here's where Milei comes in. So you guys, I'll just show you the screenshot of this video. You can see in the title, if you can see down there, it says, Hernández asks Asfora for money to set up a digital cell against Mexico, Colombia, and the Zelaya family. So this, Claudia Sheinbaum has responded to this like, what the F? But this is the recording where Hernández asks Asfora for $150,000 to set up a digital journalism unit, a disinformation cell operating out of the United States, ran by someone from Trump's team to create files against Mexico, Colombia, and the Zelaya family. According to the leaked audios, this office has multiple sources of financing: $350,000 from sectors within Argentina, given by President Milei, $300,000 in public funds from Honduras, and a weird undetermined amount from allies in Mexico. I'm guessing those are cartels. So we know of over $650,000 dollars, and Milei is involved with that. But here's the thing. I had you on to talk, and I sprung that question about the Malvinas onto you. We talked about it because you were in Argentina, what, 83, 84?
83, 84.
Yeah.
Las Malvinas son nuestras.
Right. But the other day, Argentina hands control of the South Atlantic to the U.S., to Southcom through 2030 under Milei's Protecting Global Commons program. So Milei has handed over this entire zone to the United States. Okay, so the two that's Argentina receives Textron B-360ER aircraft. These are for intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance, drones configured to Pentagon standards, and technology that will be completely integrated with Southcom. They're not acquiring any patrol aircraft for sovereign control. It's becoming an intel collection site for the Pentagon. Argentina puts up the personnel and bears the risk, and the United States gets all the goods. I guess he imposed $46 billion budget cut on the Argentinian armed forces.
It's like, what the hell is there collect down there? Penguins? I don't know. I mean, you sell south from Punta del Este, or, the south point of the Cape there. But good God, there's nothing there. Mm-hmm. Except, Brazil. Okay, you got Carnival. You've got the nice thing between Brazil and Argentina, good competition for who has the best beef. But for in terms of U.S. military mission, not unless we're planning to fight the Brits. This is that boondoggle written all over it. Good Lord.
Right. Well, I think the whole entirety of Latin America is a boondoggle. So we're just going to keep hopping to the next mess.
Well, so in the 1980s, it was the one of the centers for the Cold War, because we were fighting communist subversion. We're fighting communist subversion in Nicaragua. Mm-hmm. We're fighting it in El Salvador, and we're fighting it in Guatemala. Ignore the fact that the reason you had insurgencies in Guatemala was because of the brutal treatment and the racist treatment by the Guatemalan army of the native population.
That's the indigenous Maya population.
Yeah, the Quetzal, Tzotzil, all the Mayan dialects that were there, and that's the only country I've been in Latin America, and I've been in almost all of them, where they literally treated the Indians as subhuman. They were treated like animals, that they were not, and it was virtue of dress. It wasn't by what their physical features. It's by if you dressed and spoke the native language, Tzotzil, Quetzal, then you were treated as if you weren't a human being, for starters. In Salvador, again, it was these rigid elite societies that it was economically class based. So the average Salvadoran, they're very poor. They didn't, they're tough to make money. What was fascinating is I knew Salvadorans who left Salvador, and they were considered quite poor. One went to Arlington, Virginia, and developed a cleaning business. Guy's a millionaire. So it was just like these people. You give them the right opportunity, put them in the right financial system where they can advance themselves, get educated, start a business, etc. And you didn't have that in Honduras and Salvador, and so this is where these uprisings took place. Then the elites tried to clamp down, and the United States invariably was tied in with the elites to suppress the people. But during the 80s, we were fighting the communists. That was it was Afghanistan was the number one, Central America was number two, Angola was number three. Those were like the three big areas of Cold War battle.
Well, let's hop over to Cuba. because there's a lot unfolding there, and I know you have to go shortly. But they captured Maduro in January and cut off Venezuela oil. Now China is shipping rice because Cubans are starving. They indicted Raul Castro for 1996 something, unsealed on Cuban Independence Day. Obviously deliberate. And Trump says he'll take over Cuba almost immediately. Yesterday, the Cuban foreign minister went on Fox News and called Rubio a liar. Said he's deliberately deceiving Americans. Are we just seeing the sort of Venezuela playbook again, the sort of blockade, indict?
Well, no, because in this case, despite, we took Maduro out, but Venezuela is still running itself. And it doesn't need the United States, and the United States is not in a position to control it. If we take out Castro and try to take over the government, that's one of those you break it, you buy it situations. And then at that point, we're going to be faced with an insurgency. The Cubans, they're not going to give up. They've got guns, ammunition, and mountains, the Sierra Madre Mountains. It will be Castro 2.0 coming back. And the notion that, indicting Raul Castro for doing what was allowed under international law to shoot down a plane. And I received some additional information. One of those hermanos, the brothers, they were flying an aircraft that had U.S. Air Force markings. And this was part of a deliberate, back then, CIA operation to provoke a Cuban reaction, to try to create a predicate. And I saw this myself, not so much against Cuba, but that's what was done against Panama in 1989, from middle of 1988 through 1989, because my branch, a girl named Alicia, she was the principal, she was the Panamanian analyst, and she was getting constantly briefed by the Directorate of Operations about all these different things that they were, provocations that were being carried out. So it's the same plan, is all I'm saying. It's, it's not like they come out with, we got a new idea here. No, they're using old school stuff.
What do you think, Chris? What do you think? What are your thoughts about Cuba?
I spent time in Cuba. I studied there. I've been there many, many times since 2015, the first time I went. It's changed a lot, of course, because of the impact of the maximalist sanctions. In that period at the end of Obama's presidency, it was the best place to be. There was money flowing. There was tourism. There was a new sense of hope in the island and in its relations with the U.S. And that all came crashing down with the first Trump presidency and sort of the turn for the worst in terms of relations. And the branding of Cuba as not only a state sponsor of terror, but part of the troika of tyranny, as John Bolton called Cuba, Venezuela, and Nicaragua. So, yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy when you think about it. I think that from what I've heard from people, I just had my good friend Don Corder went down there, RT journalist, and he was down there just about a month and a half ago or so. And he said, look, it's difficult for the people, but it's not like they haven't experienced difficulties before. They're very resilient. But the question is, how long does that last? How long does that last? How long can the Cubans put up with it? He thinks that they will resist. And I agree. And Larry agrees as well. They will resist. I don't know if the entire population will resist, but certainly a good segment of the population.
But we thought that about Venezuela.
We thought, okay, so the difference about Venezuela is that Venezuela was a hybrid system that brought its power, that was brought into power through the ballot box, really. And Cuba was a popular revolution, as Larry pointed out, from the mountains, from a small boat to the mountains, and then took the whole country and changed it from the Batista dictatorship and brought a whole new reality for so many Cubans. So, and it's been one of the most important countries internationally for upholding anti-imperialism, for upholding dignity, for upholding sovereignty, for fighting for the rights of the oppressed in the global South. So they are very different in that sense, that Cuba has a revolution that has very deep roots versus Venezuela, that was brought into power via the ballot box, but it tried to maintain a balance with the bourgeoisie and the capitalist class. Cuba got rid of them altogether, right? Now Cuba's talking about market socialism in the Chinese sense, but in the beginning and for 5 decades, 6 decades, it didn't have that.
Yeah.
And Larry, I know you have to get going, but before you do, what can you tell us about Bolivia? And then we'll go into detail after you leave for our viewers. But Bolivia is in chaos.
Yeah, well, I have never been to Bolivia. I've been up to the border, La Frontera, in Salta, Argentina. But no, I mean, the U.S. goes through cycles. We ignore, for about the last, up until the last few years, we've completely ignored Latin America. I mean, so back in the 80s, man, it was the top of the list. Yeah. And in the 70s, it was, CIA was important with Argentina, Chile, again, countering the communist influence. Then once we got to the 90s, once the collapse of the Soviet Union, we went, oh, who cares anymore? Mm-hmm. Just as long as the money keeps flowing. And that's where the drug money's played a significant factor. And with U.S. corporations profiting off of it, don't rock the boat.
Don't rock the boat. The words of wisdom from Larry the Shirt Johnson.
Yeah, there you go.
Larry, thank you so much for taking the time. I know you're just got off of holiday and you're probably catching up on all these interviews and hot racking it. So thank you so much for making the time.
Hey, I'm always happy to chat with you.
Now you can go find out more about Hondurasgate. You're probably your mind's gonna be blown. It's worse than what I could convey on this show.
Then Chris has nabbed me for later this week as well. So
that's right. Tomorrow I'll see you.
Perfect. Okay.
Mañana. Okay.
We'll see you soon.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
See you. Bye-bye.
So guys, okay, and while we have this vibe check, guys, please hit the like, share, and subscribe button. And again, I want to plug the Substack for John Kiriakou, who will be on the show in the near future.
Yes.
Please visit our Substack and help get the campaign to pardon John Kiriakou some more much needed momentum. And please check out our Iranian writer. He's excellent. He's published in many other publications in West Asia. But the multi-layered crisis in the Middle East, all of our articles are free. But please go to our Substack and sign up. The links, there you go. The links I think the link is in the description. And if not, it's on our website. But yeah, let's talk about Bolivia.
Yes,
before Chris gets sleepy. But Bolivia is crazy. It's in crisis. There's a direct connection to everything we just talked about, obviously, because there always is. And his name is Fernando Cerramedo. They call him MAGA's man in Latin America.
Wow.
Insane, right? This is from The Economist, by the way. So that's our media calling him that. He is an Argentine political operative, dirty war specialist, and disinformation expert. He worked for Bolsonaro in 2022, Milei. He worked for Jose Antonio Cast in Chile. He worked for Nasri Asfora in Honduras, the one we just talked about. And guess where he is now? He is the presidential advisor to Rodrigo Paz, Bolivia's president.
What a pedigree and what a resume.
Bolivia's own vice president confirmed that himself. And who is his business partner? Brad Parscale. Brad Parscale, Trump's former campaign manager. They run a consulting business together. Why does Trump's former campaign manager run a consulting business with an Argentine dirty war specialist?
Yeah. I think it's further confirmation of what we have known all along, that it's a small club and we're not in it. I mean, look at them. They're all together.
Literally.
It's
so transnational.
Absolutely.
Their borders don't exist.
They don't believe in borders. They're the most anarchists.
They're globalists.
They're
globalists.
That's it.
They're the globalists. So he's working in Bolivia now. So that should tell you everything you need to know. Bolivia is in its 4th week of a general strike, which started on May 5th. The COB, which is Bolivia's main labor federation, called for an indefinite strike. In week 1, 20 highways were blocked. In week 2, 40. And now there are 60. You can see, look at her. She's so cute with her wiffle. These are some of the roadblocks around Bolivia put up by the indigenous peoples. If you guys aren't familiar, the indigenous peoples are a very strong contingent in Bolivia. They are a popular contingent. They're heavily, heavily involved in politics. So miners, teachers, farmers, transport workers, all of them are involved. And La Paz is under siege. Food shortages, medicine shortages, hospitals are running out of oxygen. So Bolivia is also in a shortage situation. The 4 people are dead, over 90 arrested. The UK told its citizens do not travel to La Paz yesterday, or maybe it was 2 days ago. It might have been Monday. My apologies. Bolivia's Congress voted to authorize a state of emergency. The U.S. State Department just issued a security alert warning Americans to avoid the country. So what triggered this? So 2 things. In December, La Paz cut fuel subsidies and diesel prices tripled from 372 Bolivianos to 980. In April of 2026, Law 1720, a land reform law that would allow indigenous land to be used as collateral for bank loans. The indigenous community saw it for what it was, legalized land theft. Paz repealed that law on May 13th because of the protests, but they only got bigger. Here is some of the footage from the strikes. But this isn't just about fuel or land anymore. It's become obviously about who or what ideology rules Bolivia. This has been something that we've been talking about for years. You guys all remember the Elon quote, we'll coup whoever we want. That's about Bolivia. They want the lithium, and Bolivia is rich in natural resources. On May 15th, Evo Morales, who I always say with a smile and a warm feeling in my heart, I just love him so much. Evo Morales came out and said, well, obviously, for those of you who don't know, he was Bolivia's first indigenous president. He governed from 2006 to 2019. He said the United States ordered President Paz to conduct a military operation with support from the DEA and U.S. Southcom to detain or kill him. He's calling it Operation Condor 2.0, aptly named. On May 18th, oh, sorry, go ahead.
That's what we're calling it, I said.
Yep. On May 18th, the most violent day of protests, counter-protesters started burning the Wiffala. You might recall this is the same thing that happened during the 2019 coup. And the government has been removing the Wiffala. If you guys don't know, the Wiffala is the indigenous flag, and it is gorgeous. It is a beautiful flag. It's right down in the bottom right-hand corner and in the left-hand corner, but better view on the bottom right. So that's the indigenous flag of the people of Latin and South America. But so they hate the indigenous in Bolivia because they are popular and they are large and they are united. Go ahead.
Do you remember what happened when it was 2019, wasn't it? The Bolivia
the coup?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Remember what she brought out? So they were burning the flags. What did she bring out on the podium with her?
Was it an Israeli flag?
No, that would have been hilarious. This like huge Bible. And she was kind of like
bizarre.
Yeah, and
it's even more bizarre than Israeli flag.
Well, no, it was like the point was that she's kind of like a new crusader.
Yeah, I get what she's saying. That's why it's weirder.
Yeah.
That's sort of like, we'll convert these indigenous heathens.
Exactly. Yeah. It went back to the old, you know.
I don't like that.
Well, back to the debates of Sepulveda and Bartolomé de las Casas. That was a big debate over converting indigenous people.
Oh my God. They're still doing it, but we talked about it on this show, and we mentioned at the beginning of the episode. We did a whole episode on the people going to Latin and South America, converting to the evangelicism, Mormonism, and Judaism. No more Catholics. The Catholics are actually getting kicked out of Latin America. From May 20th, while Bolivian police were killing protesters, Rubio posted, "Let there be no mistake, the United States stands squarely in support of Bolivia's legitimate constitutional government. We will not allow criminals and drug traffickers to overthrow democratically elected leaders in our hemisphere." these people do not look like criminals and drug traffickers to me, but that's what Rubio thinks they are. And that's why they don't care about bombing them, killing them, starving them, etc.
No, of course not. They're dark skinned and they kind of look raggedy. So that's what they've got to be.
Right. Of course, where would we be without Milei? Because, you know, Milei sent 2 C-130 Hercules military aircraft to Bolivia. He called it humanitarian aid, said it was frozen chicken, which is interesting. And you'll make note of that because you'll get the joke later. But Argentine Congressman Rolanda Pacheco says the cargo was actually riot control equipment. Now, guys, remember in 2019, the Macri government shipped 40,000 rounds of ammunition and tear gas to Bolivia's coup government under Janine Áñez. Federal prosecutors charged Macri and the defense minister with weapons smuggling. On May 20th, Morales issued an ultimatum. New elections within 90 days or escalation, and so that puts us at mid-August. Anti-regime groups are forming. The indigenous communities have been seen with arms, Mauser rifles, and the like, a lot of old school type of stuff. And then this clip is from Chayanta province in Potosi. These are Quechua. I don't want to pronounce, I'm mispronouncing everything. I'm sorry, guys. But these are Quechua indigenous peoples.
Estamos planificando como la gran provincia anda para tomar el sede de gobierno para votar a patatas a ese narcogobierno. A eso es un gobierno incapaz. ¡Que se luche, carajo! ¡Que se luche ese narcopollo, compañeros! Y vamos a mandar a su país, compañeros, porque el compañero narcopollo no es boliviano, compañeros, para que nos gobierne de esta forma. Nosotros nos tenemos que gobernar. Nosotros nos tenemos que autogobernar como indígenas, compañeros. Como es dicho, compañeros, ayúdenme a decir que viva la gran provincia Chayanta.
I knew you'd like that.
Viva!
You'd like that clip. So we see that's from Chayanta. Fun fact about Chayanta, in 1781, it was the site of the Tomás Katari Rebellion, one of the largest indigenous uprisings against Spanish colonial rule. So they have a history of 250 years of resistance. Kind of beautiful.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I'm a big fan.
That's what's going on in Bolivia right now. And that, guys, I put so much work into this episode. I really hope you enjoyed it. We're not done. We're going to go over some current events, but I really wanted to deep dive into some of the Latin American stuff because there's a lot of chaos going on down there. And I could do another episode on the talks between USA and Iran, and we could talk about how Trump just continues to jibber jabber the same thing. I mean, last night, Al Jazeera literally posted, the agreement's done, just needs signatures. And now today, Trump's saying that everybody must join the Abraham Accords. And we'll get to that. But first, you are the belle of the ball online and in our hearts.
There she is.
What was this like?
She was awesome. I mean, it was amazing to
Does she
share
smell
the
nice?
stage.
She looks like she smells so nice, like flowers.
Like, okay, so I've had like lunch with her before and I've had an opportunity to spend time with her before, but never on a panel of this kind of magnitude. And it was amazing. I got to go. So basically, in order, it was she spoke, then a senator of the Federation Council, and then I spoke. And I was like, oh my God, you know, Foreign Ministry spokeswoman, Senator of the Russian Federation, and Christopher Halali, journalist of Geopolitics.
Ready? And we have a clip of that. Let's see.
All right.
Коллеги, я хотел бы здесь эстафетную палочку передать иностранному, но нашему партнеру, коллеге Кристоферу.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, distinguished guests. It's a great honor to be on this panel. But in the information war, the fight is constant, 24/7, 365, without end. That fighting continues. And the aggressive nature of those that you are exposing, those that you are going up against, whether it's the collective West, whether it's those who have, nefarious reasons to spread fake news or misinformation, disinformation, they are not only attacking you online, they go after you in real life, they go after your family, they go after your assets, they demonetize you, they cancel you from different platforms. Our work collectively is watched by hundreds of millions of people daily. My media has gotten almost 1 billion impressions on social media in 1 year alone. DD Geopolitics, of which I'm a journalist. So we have an enormous task an everyday task, and we must take that with great humility, with great responsibility, with dignity, and we must continue to fight this battle every day, not only on the battlefields of the world, but on the information battlefield, in the digital space, because that's where people are watching, that's where young people get their information, and this is a task that I take with enormous responsibility, and I hope that we all collectively can continue to do so and continue to bring the truth to so many people around the world. Thank you so much.
Спасибо огромное. Спасибо огромное. Я хотела сказать вам слова благодарности за то, что вы высказали слова благодарности в адрес Министерства иностранных дел.
I'm fangirling. I'm like squealing inside. What? This is so crazy to me. Everybody invest in Chris right now before the stock gets too expensive.
No,
That was so great. And I really love that you said, this is something that we have to accept with humility and great responsibility. And I think that those are things that we sort of stress here as sort of taking the onus of having this large platform and having somewhat of a voice and using it in the correct way. So I'm so proud of you. You're so cool. You're like the cool. Everybody says you're so cool. Somebody said last night, Chris is an enigma. They asked me to bring up Venezuela today, so I'm not bringing up Venezuela today because Chris gets upset, rightfully so. Yeah. And they said, how is Chris friends with Alex Saab? Chris is such an enigma. I said, Chris is friends with everybody. But yeah, so I guess we'll talk a little bit about what's going on and with the Iran. You want to talk about America first or Iran first? I mean, it's the same conversation, but who do you want first? Iran's statement or the United States?
It's all a shit show at this point.
Okay, well, let's see what Iran wants. This was aired on IRIB just before the stream started. Hopefully this translation's okay. Apologies if it isn't. I did it very quickly. But here is the first phase of Iran's demands.
شروط ایران برای توافق احتمالی با آمریکا در مرحله نخست به این شرح است: پایان دائمی جنگ در تمامی جبهه‌ها، خروج نیروهای آمریکایی از منطقه پیرامون ایران، تعهد آمریکا به عدم مداخله در امور داخلی ایران، لغو جامع تحریم‌ها، آزادسازی منابع ارضی بلوکه شده، پرداخت غرامت برای بازسازی به ارزش حداقل 300 میلیارد دلار و مدیریت ترددهای دریایی در قبال انجام این تعهدات از سوی آمریکا. ایران هم ملزم به اقدام خواهد شد.
I don't know why George Galloway's at the end of it, but I left it because it was so cute. It just popped up at the end of the clip. But as you can see, just like in the SMO, these demands have not changed since they were sort of issued the first time. But how far apart are we from an agreement? Let's see what Trump has to say.
And we'd like to have the countries we were talking about, with Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, and the others, we'd like to have them immediately join and Steve Witkoff is working on that with Jared and some others, but would like to have them join the Abraham Accords. It'll be historic if they do it. And I think they owe that to us, to be honest. I think, because that really would be a tremendous sign. And I think those countries owe it to us.
Mr. President.
Steve, are you going to get them to sign?
We're definitely pushing it, Mr. President.
I'm not sure we should make the deal if they don't sign. You want to know the truth. If they don't sign to join the Abraham Accords, I don't know that we have countries in there already. UAE, great countries, bold countries. And it's turned out to be so good, so effective. And so we're, requesting strongly that they join. It'll be great. It'll be great for Saudi Arabia. It'll be great.
We are so far apart that Iran is just saying what it's been saying the whole time, and they've moved on to they want everybody in the Abraham Accords.
They're wild. They really are crazy.
Insane. But this leads me to believe that they don't want peace.
They don't want peace. We know that already. They don't want peace. We've known that all along. The question is, does America have the chutzpah to continue this war and the capabilities to continue this war and things? Because I don't really know. I don't really know. Given the fact that it's a midterm election, given the fact that Iran has destroyed huge swaths of America's base infrastructure in the region, given the Strait of Hormuz being closed, given the fact that Iran still possesses over 80% of its missile capabilities. I mean, That's huge.
And rebuilding. Yeah, I think they said out of the 33 missile sites, only 3 are down.
So let me ask you a question. Hold on. They said that they bombed more than 10,000 sites. What were they bombing?
I have no idea if 30 out of the 33 missile launchers are still operational. Well, I think maybe Trump realizes he's met his match in Iran, so he started threatening someone else. I think this one will surprise you.
Going to control its international waters, and Oman will behave just like everybody else, so we'll have to blow them up. They understand that. They'll be fine.
Mr. President, thank you.
Do you need me to play that again? You sat right up like, what?
The U.S. is threatening to bomb Oman, which has been the diplomat all these years.
The Switzerland of the
It really is. It's the Switzerland of the region.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Can you believe it? That's how far apart we are. That's why I was like, you know what? I'm not doing another episode on this. I'm not doing another episode on the talks. I can't. What are like, and of course, as usual, Israel is doing everything they can to put the kibosh, to use a Jewish word, on this by bombing the hell out of Lebanon. They're bombing again this morning. Well, my morning, Lebanon night. They're bombing again tonight. And lying and saying that they're not. It's really, they're saying, oh no, they're sonic booms. We're watching the strikes. What are you talking about?
What sonic booms? I just saw a video from my Lebanese friends of this whole building that just was obliterated.
People are evacuating. More people. Another Nakba. They issued another evacuation. And I saw the videos out of, I think it was Thiel.
Yeah, Thiel.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what's happening. But there's supposedly a ceasefire. Not only that, we don't have the clips. I don't know if we weren't supposed to talk about it in this depth, but basically the far right in Israel has said what everybody in Israel believes, which is for every drone that's used, what was it, Ben Gvir and his allies, not Ben Gvir, Smotrich said it. Well, his allies, okay, Smotrich said 10 buildings should be leveled in that.
For every drone.
Every drone, 10 buildings. I keep saying it. Nobody believes us. We are all Amalek to them.
Speaking of Amalek and being retarded, stupid goy, the Board of Peace Trust Fund is empty. I want to put a fell for it again, or like a clown emoji on every single face in this photo, except for Trump. Like, what the hell is going on? They're out of money. They spent it all. It's all went into some weird JP Morgan account.
Morgan fund.
It's gone.
Nice.
It's gone. And here's the other money pit. Can you believe this is the White House, Christopher?
What?
This is the White House. I want everybody to look at this. This is your White House. This belongs to us. This is your White House right now.
That looks, you know what?
It's scary.
I'm glad I left. I left at the right time.
They're having a UFC fight next to the construction zone of the ballroom. And it's a celebration. Can't make this shit up.
You can't make it up. And also, it's May 27th. July 4th is coming, 250-year anniversary. And look at the shit show. Nothing's ready. Everything looks like a disaster. Plus,
I think that's the point.
You know what the even bigger problem is? Everything is sort of like kitsch, Home Depot kind of style, like stucco bullshit. It's not like real stuff. Like, no, okay, here in the Kremlin, it's like this stone is from the Urals. This stone is from the Caspian. This stone is from, the north.
It's like,
and meanwhile,
wall was put up by some dude named Rob.
Yeah. Oh, we got this kind of curly Q thing with the gold leaf from Home Depot. It was on sale, $18.99.
And guys, we don't have the time, and I don't even think I have the brain depth to get into start talking about all the fraud and the money that's going in and out of this administration. But there are plenty of people doing in-depth work on that.
They talk about schools in Minnesota, right? The schools in Minnesota. They talk about the corruption in California.
I'm talking about the fraud in the administration. I don't give a shit. If Americans want to rob the government, by all means, you might as well right now.
But really, how come nobody's talking about not only the fraud, the manipulation of the market, People know ahead of time for the statements. People are making money on Polymarket and all these other things.
Oh, I just found out today that the Trump sons are on the board at Kalshi. And that's why Trump's pushing for prediction market betting.
There you go. They're making a fortune when you have
fortune.
God.
You just got so Mediterranean. They're making a fortune.
They are. They are. They are the biggest. You listen, I give it to Trump. He's like Tony Soprano and the Soprano family. They found the loophole and they're exploiting it.
Yeah, but Tony had some semblance of class.
Tony
or at least
had-
he tried.
Tony had some humanity, some ethics occasionally. Trump has none.
None. Speaking of having no humanity, we want to play this because remember, we covered this on Sunday. Today's Wednesday. Chris had just gotten back from Lugansk. We told you that the major outlets were obviously invited. The BBC declined. The CNN said they were on vacation, but we found out what they were actually doing.
President Trump once said Ukraine had no cards, but now they've built themselves a new deck. We're now with perhaps Russia's most keenly sought target in the war. A deep strike Ukrainian drone unit launching this night a wave of 200 attack drones into Russia.
The issue here is the scale. Potentially 20 drones being launched just from here, and 3 or 4 other locations around here also involved in tonight's attack. The sheer number overwhelming, it seems, much of Russia's air defenses and causing persistent embarrassment to the Kremlin.
Working fast in silence, knowing an error with the fuel or explosives or launch could kill them all.
They are a key target for the Russian Shahid drones flying overhead, constantly interrupting their work, which is going to go on all night.
And this is straight from Masha Maria Zakharova. As you know, CNN did not travel to Starbelsk last Sunday, citing logistical reasons. Yesterday, CNN revealed what they were actually working on while correspondents from around the world were documenting the aftermath of the devastating terrorist attack on the dormitory and a teaching block of a pedagogical college in the LPR. CNN correspondents Nick Patton Walsh, who has been indicted in absentia in Russia for participating in the Kursk incursion, was filming a promotional segment about Kiev's drone strikes on Russian cities. The piece was prepared slightly in advance, but aired on May 26th, 4 days after the Starbelsk strike that killed more than 20 people. Neither the anchors nor Walsh mentioned it with a single word. Instead, the segment ran as a full advertisement for the effectiveness of Ukrainian drones. Quote, "We are now next to perhaps the most wanted target in Russia, a Ukrainian long-range drone strike unit. Tonight, they will launch 200 drones at Russia. These drones have already struck Stavropol." That passing in detail about Stavropol is significant, and it suggests Walsh may have been embedded with the Ukrainian unit at the exact moment it was coordinating the planned strike on the college in Starbelsk. Kiev's drones hit Stavropol the day before the Starbelsk attack. This reframes the situation entirely. The Armed Forces Ukraine hired CNN to film their drone killers at work. When Russia invites CNN to document the aftermath of Ukrainian drone strikes, the killing of civilians, including children, and the destruction of civilian infrastructure, American journalists cite vacations, logistics, and so on. Meanwhile, there is a strong likelihood that CNN correspondents were filming the preparation for that very attack. Their audience, the channel has decided, should not know about the consequences. This is not journalism. CNN has different priorities now: propaganda, distortion, manipulation, not informing its audience. This is exactly how the Volkitscher Beobachter operated in 1944. Its editorial policy was coordinated with the NSDAP propaganda apparatus. Its stuff saluted and celebrated the achievements of German arms, and until 1945 reported on the imminent victory of the Reich over the USSR and the Allies. Anything that did not fit the narrative simply did not exist. After the collapse of the Hitler regime, the Nuremberg Tribunal sentenced the editor of Volkitscher Beobachter to spend the rest of his life in labor camps. This is how the Western mainstream manufactures a deliberately distorted picture of the world today.
That's the truth. That's the truth. Listen, we were there, and there were journalists, by the way. It's not only CNN, BBC, and the Japanese journalists. 2 Italian news agencies, including RAI,
I heard about this,
were on site. and I saw them, and I saw the fight between RTs, not Vincenzo LaRusso, but our other friend who was on site in Starobelsk with us, who was challenging the other journalists. And also there was a challenging of the Italian and the French journalists. And in both cases, in the Italian case, not one report has come out. Not one. And the journalists were on the ground in Starobelsk.
I heard it was because they found out that there were Italian components inside the drones or
There are
something.
Italian components inside the drones. Absolutely there are.
And they refused to air their footage, or I don't know. That's what I heard on X, but X is a cesspool, so I'm taking it with a very large grain of salt.
Yeah, I just, it's shocking to me, and I keep saying it, and I'll say it again. The journalists that work for these outlets, they're stenographers for empire. We've said it. We continue to say it. In fact, there are stenographers for the Epstein class. That's what they do. That's what they do. They cover up the war crimes. They cover up the pedophilia. They cover up the money corruption. They cover up everything. They cover up everything. They do what their bosses tell them to do, because they are not free journalists. They are political actors themselves. And I think that we have to take that. We have to take that and understand that and tell people about that, because people are being bamboozled every day by the mainstream media. They're being lied to.
It's bad. It's bad. And people need to be more informed about who's behind these media outlets, because the media in the United States has gotten scary bad. All of it. Not just Fox News, not just MSNBC. CNN is scary. It's all scary.
Yes, you're absolutely right. Absolutely right.
You got anything else?
For me, one of the big things that's coming up next week that I want to foreshadow, because I think it's going to be something that we're going to talk about, is SPIEF. We have the St. Peter's
I don't know.
International Economic Forum, and we'll be there as DD Geopolitics.
Of course, you're always at SPIEF.
I'll be there. The bigger news is that Candace Owens has announced that she's coming. I knew she was coming already.
She's going to SPIEF?
Yes.
Well, please introduce yourself to Candace Owens.
Oh, I will.
I know you will. I know you're probably winding up having drinks with her that night or something. You're insane.
I'm gonna try
You'll
my
come
best.
out of there and be like, "Oh, I'm friends with Candace Owens." That's how Chris is. Chris is just a meet and friend to everyone.
Thank
it's great.
you.
It's great for us because I don't have to do it. It's so great.
But the bigger news is that Larry Loomer has come on the attack.
I saw
and said that.
So they're going. There's a lot of people going to SPIEF, and she's saying, "Okay."
Yeah. So Larry Loomer is saying that the woke Reich is coming to St. Petersburg. That is Candace Owens, myself, Alexander. Was it Dugan? Yep. So all these people are going to be there, and it's going to be the woke Reich. What she didn't realize is that for St. Petersburg, which was Leningrad, we defeated the Reich, and we'll defeat the Zionist Reich as well.
Well, I think that the Zionists were upset about the USSR defeating that Reich, but maybe we'll talk about that. Dugan is woke now. Yeah, Dugan's woke. Okay. Dugan literally, I think he called Americans evil. So all the Americans are upset with him or something like that. He said some really crazy stuff online, which I support.
What can we do? What can we do?
Other than that, I know Chris is starting to fade.
Who did I meet today? So I'm walking. So when I go, we have some cool things. First and foremost, the International Security Forum was really cool. I got to meet the Taliban.
What?
Yeah.
Are we going to go to Afghanistan? I was invited to Afghanistan once.
Listen, we're going to go everywhere. We're going to go everywhere because DD Geopolitics isn't afraid of anything. If they say, okay, we're going to Antarctica, we're going. If we go to the Arctic, we're going. If we're going under the ocean, we're going. But we're not going on that submersible.
No.
They're not going on that. Now I got to look at if it's Russian quality, I'm going. But not that submersible. What was it? The Titan? That ended up imploding? Yeah, no. But so I had an opportunity to see the Spartak vehicle, which is the one that they had pictures of in Iran.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to go and see all this equipment and the new anti-drone equipment. I took some selfies with some of this equipment. It's really quite cool. But the hilarious part was watching some people handle different kinds of Kalashnikovs, and one person dropped it, and everybody was like, you know, I've said I would feel really bad to be that person who dropped it. But they had all sorts of cool drones and things there, really interesting systems. But I'm walking, so I get out and I'm walking through the Rosguardia section and basically going towards the arena. And who walks past me?
Lavrov.
I wish. No. Alex Christoforou.
Of course he was at the International Security Forum. He loves guns.
So of course I say, Alex? He says, whoa.
My Greek brother!
We start speaking in Greek. So actually he told me, let's go for drinks. I said, bro, I have a stream tonight.
What?
So yes. So after this,
go.
If it's not too late.
Go. Okay, we'll get you out of here. Okay, so guys, don't forget, check out the Substack. Help us get this pardon for everybody else is getting a pardon. Why not John Kiriakou? We shouldn't have to pay $1 million for this. This is ridiculous. And make sure you guys go check out Nabil's coverage of what's going on in the Middle East. And we have a few super chats. Let's see what we got. Oh, I started this. I hope that it was worth leaving moats for. I really do. Also, I want to say Eid Mubarak to all.
Yes, Eid Mubarak.
Happy Eid.
Blessings to you all.
Thank you, Mo. Peace and blessings to all of our Muslim brothers and sisters. Thank you so much, Roman. Thank you. Thank you so much. And from Sweden, thank you for your compliments. I hope you guys found this episode informative. We'll clip it down. We'll get it out there. But, you know, Latin America is our backyard. I think that this is something that Americans should be very concerned with. And I think that Latin America gets put on the back burner just because our media doesn't really focus on it that much. But I want to leave you guys with a moment of levity at the end of the episode. This song has been stuck in my head since I heard it. It's from the amazing and great Tim Dillon. And I think it really encompasses what I'm feeling right now. Other than that, you guys enjoy the rest of your week. The weather is gorgeous here anyway. And we will see you all on Sunday.
See you soon, everyone.
Can't even breathe. And you're pressing the button. And then all of a sudden, a ghostly old flight attendant comes up to you. And it's Marjorie Taylor Greene. And she goes, I live in Costa Rica now. I've escaped. Do you think you can escape? Yeah, play this a little bit. This is what you'll hear. This is what you hear as you're sitting on the plane with the peanut grout in your throat, pressing water, water, water. I just want to drink water. Ed Gallery has a handshake. War hero. Navy SEAL. AI is good. AI is good. You don't need money. You don't need life. Stop eating lunch. Stop eating lunch. AI is good. Ed Gallery has a handshake. He's a Navy SEAL. Epstein is fake. Stop eating lunch. Ed Gallery has a handshake. He's a Navy SEAL. Close the files. Stop eating lunch. Make a sandwich. Make a sandwich. You don't have a life. Make a sandwich. Make a sandwich. You don't have a wife. Jerk your dick and sit on the floor. This is what we've done this for. You don't own shit anymore. You don't have a life. Good night from London.